Hey, Jim Horn here, and we've got another great Meet the Master series today. Ann Tapler White is joining us as our guest photographer. I saw her photographs in the latest black and white photography magazine. Ann's career began with a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree, majoring in printmaking. She sees herself not just as a photographer, but as a multidisciplinary artist working in both two and three dimensional mediums. Her travels helped define what she really wanted to express with photography through black and white images. These are photos of everyday life, as you will see, and they're mainly shot candidly, but as Anne says, not always. At times, there are stories attached, but not necessarily with written words, and I think you'll understand that when you look at the images. And the story always continues after Anne leaves. People always ask Anne, why black and white? And Anne's answer is how better to reach into the soul of an image with other than with black and white photography. So Anne, how are you, young lady?
Good. I'm.
Good.
Thank
It's
you
good.
for
It's good to
calling
see.
me young lady. Thank you.
Well, it's yeah. We've got to feel young. You know, your photographs are young at heart, as the and you know and as the listeners and viewers will see. Street photography in another country can be a little bit tough at times. You
Yes.
gotta break down the barriers, and you gotta be willing to do it, and then you gotta. The real thing is, in my opinion, is you've got to be able to relate to the people that are, that are there. I mean, that's and then be able to take their photos. So,
You
um,
also have to be very quick.
yes, that's very true. You have to be very, very quick. Yeah, sometimes they don't want to hang around or they want to move on. So why don't we begin, Ann, by taking a look at the photographs?
Okay.
Um, I'll bring one up here. I have to tell you, the lighting on. Let's talk about. Tell us about this photograph because I think it's phenomenal. I mean, the way that light hits that young man on the floor.
Yeah.
Give us some.
Oh, okay. This was taken in. Let me just get it up here. Um, Cantanaka in Benin, and we were having an audience with the king. There were only five of us, and it was just a small cement building, but we were sitting in front of the king, and I probably shouldn't have taken the photo while we were in his presence, but anyway, children came in. They were in and out, and all of a sudden, the children, the little boy, the light was absolutely wonderful. And he just fell down on the floor in just the right position. And the little girl is sort of fainted in the background. And I had to take it. I just snapped it.
So it's sort of like Bresson's decisive moment. You see it, you
Yes.
shoot
If you,
it, huh?
and right. Yeah. And if you hesitate, you can't stop and think because if you think, it's gone. So
Yeah,
you just take it. You'll lose it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that the young lady, I'm assuming it's a young lady, was just sort of in the background lends a little bit of just sort of mysterious
Oh,
to
I
her. I
love,
can
yeah.
see, it's just a great photograph. It's for the nerds that I have listening to the YouTube video. I have to get the equipment thing out of the way. What kind of equipment do you use, or what kind of camera?
Okay, now when I started traveling, I had a Rolly 35, so I was shooting film, and then I went into I lost the camera. I hate to say that, but it was stolen. Then I bought a Rolly 35S, and then I went into a digital into I did a X100 Fuji, and now I have Fuji XT1.
Oh, super. Okay. Okay, all you
So,
camera people, now we know what she's shooting with, but forget the equipment. It's a beautiful photograph. Let's take a look at the next one, Ann. There we go.
okay, what,
Next one is the woman standing in the doorway um, with the light.
okay.
Once again, it's a capture of the light that is phenomenal. In other words, the light just brings the attention right to the subject.
And this one was taken in Tonga in Ghana. So I was walking through the village and she was standing in the doorway and I just said, "Don't move." I didn't want her to move because you could tell what her day was like and perhaps her day wasn't finished. And you could tell her clothing, she just, they were threadbare. You could almost see everything through her clothing. Anyway, I got past her, I turned, and I took it. And that was it. She stayed in that position. So I was so grateful that she did that. But she never, if I had said, "Excuse me, can I take your photo?" It wouldn't have been the same photo.
Right.
It would have been
It
totally
wouldn't have.
different.
It was
Yeah.
almost. It's almost like a glamour photo, but it certainly was not intentionally a glamour photo.
No.
The way she's posed in the doorway. That's phenomenal.
I called it exhausting day because her day, you could tell, was very exhausting. But
And
I
this
anyway,
and this I take it was in a small village. Is that
small
correct?
village, Tonga, yes, Tonga in Ghana,
Wow.
and that was
Okay.
in 2013 that was taken. And the other one, the Children in the House of King Suleiman, that was 2013. I put those in just because of the more candid shot and the light on the floor. That I thought I would add those. So
Wow.
those are in my excellence award.
Okay. That's great. Okay. The next shot is the young man sitting in the chair, and then off to the right is a small gal, which is it. You look at the young man, and but then your eyes sort of moves over to the young lady that's there, and it's a village scene once again, uh, and it sort of captures their real life. I mean,
Yes, this was in Nigeria in Bangkok, Bunchor, Nigeria, and I was leaving the village. We had been out to the a sanctuary, the gorilla sanctuary. Anyway, I looked between the buildings, and there she was standing, just like that. It was almost like she wasn't real. And again, I thought, just hold that, don't move. And I went in, got a bit closer to her, and she posed, stood right there for me. And I thought for a minute, I didn't see that little boy in the right hand corner. And after I got home, I thought, oh, I could. I thought, no, I cannot crop him out. No, I thought it's just another little part of village life. There he is, and this was, I believe, her backyard. And again, I love the light, and she was illuminated. Actually, she was
yeah,
beautiful.
when I look at it, it really makes the photograph. It just it you have to look all around the photograph, and then you see this tiny child, and
And
uh,
she
uh,
was just beautiful. Her face, she's just beautiful.
wow,
And people say, "Why do you take pictures of the poor?" And I said, "If that's all you see, I'm sorry, because I don't take them because of that reason. I take them because I see the love between a grandmother perhaps and her granddaughter, and it could be in a vacant building, but it was this other photo that is in my mind. That's why I take them. I don't specifically try to put more emphasis on poor, but anyway,
Right. Well, when you're
that's
in
the way I
Africa,
feel about
obviously, when you're in Africa, obviously it's a
it. You
poor
can't,
country. But
you,
but
but
I don't sense these
exactly.
as I just sense this as this is Africa, and these are studies of the people that live there, and
Yeah.
in their environment.
Yep. Exactly.
Okay, the next photograph are the two older men and the two boys, and
Oh. That one is just on my wall here in my office, but um, it's it says silented, and that was the wall. We had asked permission to camp. We tried to camp within walled buildings for just for our own protection. So we asked the head of the village if we could camp within the schoolyard, which had a big cement wall surrounding it. And it was a very strict Muslim village. And that was in Nigeria, in Kanayaka. And anyway, we were leaving, and I looked and I saw the word silented, and I thought, I think they meant to say silenced. And I thought it was so telling that it was such a heavily Muslim village and very strict. And I felt somebody was trying to make a statement, perhaps. I don't really know, but uh, anyway, I love the gentleman in the middle is just, he's almost like frozen. Like he just sat there for me. And anyway, so that's so
and,
we did spend the night at camping. We set up our tents and camped.
and I,
And
I I love the way that the one young man is really looking over at the older gentleman.
yeah,
I it you know it just but actually both of the young men are looking over. Oh,
I have
oh
another photo behind me that was taken. There were big iron gates at the schoolyard, and they had to open these gates to let the truck in. And I looked at one point, and children that I don't believe these children were Muslim. I don't think they'd ever seen the inside of that schoolyard, and they all poured in. And that photo is, I don't think you can see it, but it's behind me over there, right there. And but again, it was a wonderful experience. We went from Ghana all the way down to South Africa, and it took us 3 months
wow,
of
wow.
camping. We did stay in maybe once in a while, 2-star places, guest houses. It was a very difficult trip because some nights we didn't know where we were going to camp, and we would just pull off the side of the road and camp, or ask a village elder, if, a chief, if we could camp within the village in the schoolyard. So it was it was a great trip, and I spent 2 months going from Accra up to Dakar in Senegal. So that was a 2 month trip back in, oh, I can't even remember what year. 2019 was the 3 month trip, right before COVID.
Well, that's the only way you can get candid shots like this is
Yeah,
really to be with the people. And the next one it says action 33
Catherine.
exposure
Yeah,
and And that is when I looked at it, I've noticed with your photographs what I find really interesting is you really have to look into them because there's just different things going on. So why don't you discuss this photograph a little bit?
Yeah, I will. And the one that you're looking at, the one in the magazine was, and I hate to say this, it was printed darker, and the whole focus was the woman sticking her head under the sign. And in the magazine, you can't. Her face is very dark. You can't even see it. So anyway, and they cut off part of the action. So that was why I took it, was the action poster and then the other action. In the foreground, there's exercise bikes.
Yeah, I
So
thought that was
I don't know
strange.
exactly.
Exercise
That
bikes.
was the action. I don't know what the action. Maybe that was the action. I don't know. But they were drinking beer too, so that could have been some action. But anyway, we were going down. This was in Matadi in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and we were driving down the street, and it was people started cheering and waving and yelling at us, and it was like I felt like I was in a parade. It was absolutely the most wonderful experience. So we stopped in the traffic, and this woman, I just boom took it because she stuck her head out, and I just liked the whole composition of it. And one man is pointing at me, and anyway, that's sort of the story of that one. Maybe there isn't much of a story, but
Well,
anyway.
I think it is a story because, and let me get back to our double screen here. Uh, I think it is if you in your travels, and we have a lot of young photographers that listen to the channel. I mean, what would I mean? Because some of this was serendipity, some of this was, as you said, planned. I mean, what would you tell them when they're on these travel logs? I mean, as far as taking photographs.
I mean, you always have to photograph with respect. And if somebody waves you off, then you don't take their photo. But I do believe in, I like taking more candid shots. And then at times I'll ask, can I photograph you? And, but again, if you see something, don't hesitate because the moment will be gone. So you have to just jump on it, is the way I look at it. And
And
I don't know. Yeah, go ahead.
no, I was going to say, and the one thing that I gleaned from when we first started is that you don't overburden yourself with equipment.
No, no. All I do is I have a camera, a canvas camera bag, and I keep it open, and I keep the camera inside the bag. So I don't walk around like this and shoving it in people's faces. I see something, grab the camera, take it, put the camera back. So, and I've also taken a lot of shots from the drive-by, from taken from the truck, and some of them actually came out quite well. And I don't. It's amazing, it really. But you have to
I,
get shot where you can get it. So if you're in a vehicle, I don't care where I am. You just take it.
I think that's the most important lesson that people should walk away with. Besides the beautiful photographs, take the shot when you can take it. Don't
Yep.
overburden yourself with equipment, and you're going to wind up with some beautiful shots, just like you have these beautiful, candid, environmental shots of people that you normally don't see. And one of the things I've seen in a lot of shots from Africa are people in their tribal dress and all that other stuff. But that's really not how they live. I mean, what you've captured is how they live, and I think that's the most important part.
Yeah, and they do. The tribes are. When we were in Africa, in Ethiopia, the tribes are very. there's still very strong tribal traditions, and when you're in like Togo and Benin, the voodoo culture is still very, very evident there. So